Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us tonight, and a big shout out to all of the guys at Corio who are celebrating survival in State League One. Santino Mamone, Veshko Bigovic, Joey G, and the rest of the crew over there. It's good to see Corio stay in State One. It's also good to see Veshko's going to have a drinking competition now, because we've got someone from North Geelong, and it is the captain of the North Geelong Warriors who's our guest tonight, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome to the show Ryan OPPERMANN. Ryan, how are you doing?
Yeah, good to be here, Tonchi. Dust has settled a little bit on the year. It's disappointing, that's for sure, but looking forward to enjoying a bit of time off in the off season, and then getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's first of all talk about yourself, mate. You had it was a scary moment about 10 minutes to go in the last game of the season against South Melbourne, when you were actually carried off the pitch, and initially there was thoughts it could have been an ACL, it could have been a knee injury. How bad is it, and is it as bad as what was first speculated?
Definitely not as bad as what was first sort of appeared and it felt at the time. I've had quite a bit of troubles with both my knees throughout the year, and it just the sort of the way it landed, and it sort of hyperextended. So nothing structurally. Still a little bit sore, but it's not going to keep me out for too long, and come at a good time with the end of the year. So
last game of the season, absolutely. So, do you have to do any rehab or anything like that, or not? You're just a little bit of rest?
Just a bit of rest at the moment, a bit of walking, go for light pool sessions, and then in a couple of weeks, just start getting back into the swing of things, try to get back on the track, and take it from there.
Speaking of which, what are the plans now for the boys? Are they just going to have a complete break? Or I know the Australian-Croatian tournament's coming up in late September in Adelaide this year, and from all accounts, it's going to be a massive one. Are the boys going to take a bit of a break and then start training for that?
Look, we'll have a couple of weeks off. We had actually a discussion today down at the club just about Crow tourney in Adelaide and what that's going to look like. A bit of training beforehand. Fortunately enough, the 21s are still in the finals campaign, so we'll have a few boys from there come in. So we don't want to obviously take away their focus from a massive game this weekend, but a few of the younger boys will look to join us. So we'll have a light couple training sessions before we head up to tournament. But in the meantime, we'll have a bit of a break and enjoy the next 1 to 2 weeks off.
Yeah, let's have a look at the North Geelong under-21s. It was a good performance on the weekend. The elimination final of the under-21s. They travelled up to Hume City Stadium and came away with a good 2-0 win there over Hume City. I think it was the goal scorers there were, if I'm not mistaken, Marcus Perrotton in the 71st minute and Ben Manga in the 80th minute. The preliminary final will be held this Friday. So they come up against the top team, the team that finished on top spot, the minor premiers, Port Melbourne, who are basically at their home ground, so JL Murphy Reserve. Kickoff there is 7:30 p.m. this Friday. But look, if anything, Ryan, if there was a bright spark this year, and I had the privilege of commentating all of North's games this year, so I saw quite a fair bit of North Geelong this year. I guess one of the bright things would have been the emergence of a lot of the young talent that has come up through the under-21s, the under-18s. I guess that as captain, you must have really been happy to see so many young players given a chance, but also some of them did very, very well.
Yeah, look, and I think it's credit to them as well, and the youth system that we've got there, that they're able to come into the team and sort of not look out of place. And a credit to each individual player that's come on the field and played their part. It's not an easy thing to do, coming into an top NPL environment, and the boys have done really well. And it's shown as well. The credit goes to all the 21s coaching staff, the 18s coaching staff. Sean's done an amazing job with the boys. Credit really goes to the players and the coaching staff for getting them match ready. And fortunate enough they were able to take their opportunity. We had a lot of injuries this year,
Yeah.
So with that comes the need for a lot of depth. So the guys were able to take their chances.
Now, obviously, having lost a lot of quality young players, in particular the Skoko brothers, Anthony Lebar, Nicholas Volatovic, who went overseas, losing a lot of those quality players. But a lot of these younger players that started to come through the ranks as well have been, as we said, have been quite impressive. Who are some of the kids? Who are some of the kids that have really stepped up? And I'm not talking just on match day on the field, but in the change rooms, they've really sort of fitted in well, or on the training track, they really try their hardest and really give some of the more experienced players a real run for their money. Who really impressed you as captain?
I think there was a couple of boys. We had Rocker had played a couple of games for us all throughout the year. James as well, out wide, come on, sort of made an instant impact with his speed. Even Seth in keeper as well. You know, Hamish had his unfortunate knee injury with his ACL, and I thought he's been exceptional. You saw 2 team of the weeks as well. Spence as well, one of the other young boys coming through. Benji played a couple of games as well. Luke Zivovic as well. You know, we were struggling with a striker all year, and at a kid such as his age to be able to, you know, be a focal point in the NPL, that comes with a lot of pressure as well. And I thought he handled himself. But you know, there's a half a dozen boys that, you know, throughout the season played a part, and it's going to be real beneficial for them in their career and going forward. And hopefully, yeah, they take that next step, and similar to the Skokos, Vlarik as well, you know, go overseas and try and make something of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, you played in NPL 2 last year. You then obviously played in NPL this year. And you've been with the club there for how many years have you been at North now?
This will be my 5th year. I think it was 17, 18, or 18, 19. One of those two that I come aboard.
Yeah. Well, obviously with the emergence of these young guys and give them another year, you know, just to solidify themselves. Next year, obviously in NPL 2, at the moment, because we kind of really don't know what's going on with this national second division. But putting that aside, how do you think that the current core of the team would go in NPL 2?
Look, it's a difficult one to say. I think we saw the strength of the NPL 2 this year with the likes of Paco.
Yeah.
Who else was there?
Brunswick Juventus.
Yeah, a lot of the teams out there up there when we were playing in the NPL 2 division, they're struggling. So you really don't know until you hit the ground running in that round 1 to round 7 period. Then you sort of see where teams are going to be fitting throughout the year. Look, I still think we have a great bunch of core guys that have been with the team for a long period now, and the standards are sort of there. So now it's just building those other guys coming through, and then obviously you want to pick up a couple more experienced players along the way and see what you can get. And then we back ourselves every year. Even going into this season, we knew it was going to be difficult. But if you go into every game thinking that you're already defeated, then you've got one foot out the door already. So we were fortunate enough to, you know, credit to the guys to get it down to the last game of the year. You know, we gave ourselves every chance. It wasn't to be, but at least giving ourselves an opportunity to stay up to the last game is something that, you know, the guys can take a bit of pride in.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you something about your thoughts on the whole, promotion relegation, because you're involved in a relegation battle this year. Last year, you were involved in a promotion battle, but I was out at Hume Reserve. I actually saw your father there, caught up with him and spoke to him for a bit. I was out at Hume Reserve, and just the excitement of a relegation battle. You know, what are your thoughts on that? Is it something that's absolutely tense, and you as a player hate being involved in that, or is it quite thrilling, quite exciting, and the adrenaline level just goes up a notch in the week leading up to it?
Oh, I know which side I'd rather be on.
The promotion one, yeah.
Look, I think probably the most difficult thing on the relegation side of things is it's the people that you're sort of playing for off the field as well. All the members, the fans, the supporters that come in, week out. And then you want to try give the juniors as well playing in that, the 21s trying to be playing in the NPL 1 competition as well. So it's not just playing for yourself, you're playing for the club itself. So that's probably one of the most difficult things, and the one of the things that sort of lets myself down on a personal aspect, because you want to do what's best for the club and try to keep them up in the league that they belong in. So that's probably the most difficult part. But at the same time, you got a job to do each week, and you got to try to get the win each game. So that's probably the most difficult thing.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Tommy Gavran, the coach, he's parted ways with the Warriors. Must have been very hard for him, Stuart Begg, resigning midway through the season. And yes, Tommy was the assistant, but he stepped in, and did the best that he could. How did you find the two styles, Stuart's and then and Tommy's? Were they very similar? Did they differ much? What were they like as coaches?
I think it's hard to say. Look, Tommy did a great job considering the circumstances. Sort of thrown in the deep end. Hadn't had any sort of senior coaching experience prior to that. But I think, and what people won't be able to fault Tommy on is his commitment. I don't think he missed one training session all year. So his commitment definitely can't be questioned at all. And I think obviously it's never easy parting ways with a coach at the end of the year, but I think he'll take plenty of learnings from that as well. But yeah, in question probably between the two, I think it's probably time as well. Stu's been around that senior environment for a while. Prior to Stu, it was James Coots as well. So I think a great mentor with James Coots prior to himself becoming the senior coach. So I think similar to Stu, I think Tommy will take those learnings out of it and take the positives, and then I'm sure we'll be seeing him around the traps somewhere.
Yeah. If Tommy is tuning into the show tonight, thank you very much, Tommy Gavran, for all your assistance, because I found him to be very accessible all the time whenever I needed quotes or any, even getting him on the show, that's for sure. Ryan, thanks very much for joining us on the show tonight. Thanks for giving us an update with that knee of yours, and thankfully it isn't as bad as it certainly looked back then. But enjoy the little bit of a break, and before you know it, the preseason will get back underway. And we call it the competition of chaos, this NPL 2 division, on one of our other sister podcast shows. But next year, with Preston Lions, Caroline Springs, George Cross, all the A-League academy sides, it's going to be one exciting year, 2024, that's for sure.
Definitely will put ourselves in contention to be back in the top flight.
Look forward to it, mate. Look forward to having you on the show in 2024 as well. Until then, have a nice break.
Appreciate it, Tonchi. Be safe.
Thanks, Ryan. Ryan Opperman, that was fantastic to have him on the show. The captain of the North Geelong Warriors, and it's always great to have him on the show. And we certainly look forward to having him next season in 2024, when that is going to be a very, very interesting competition, the NPL 2 competition. Competition of chaos, it was dubbed this year. Will it live up to similar expectations next year?